Hi and welcome to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Have you ever wondered why your EPP quilt is so heavy? Have you ever wondered why you start a project with EPP and realize you've run out of fabric before you know it? Well, I've got the answer to why that's happening, and I'll share it with you right after this. So I promised you an answer to that, but I want to share with you just a little quick story first. I have two observations. First of all, usually an EPP quilt is heavier than a regular pieced quilt. If I have a EPP quilt, usually it's going to be something a little smaller than bedside and something we use to stay warm in the wintertime on the sofa, something like that. Or it's something decorative. And the reason why is because they're always heavier. Now, I know why that is, but I did not realize until just very recently how big of a difference it really is. Now, the problem is, or the situation is, that in an EPP project, you've got many more seams. And that also explains why a triple Irish chain quilt is much heavier than a single Irish chain quilt, because there's more pieces, there's more seam allowances, and there's more fabric. But what really strikes me as amazing is an email I received from Paper Pieces just a little bit ago. And I wanted to share with you some of the statistics that they sent along with notification of a free download. So if you go on the Paper Pieces site, there are some resources that will share with you how many EPP pieces, especially hexagons, that you will get, let's say, from a yard of fabric. But this particular download that they sent me is the number of hexies it takes to create a quilt, and they have different size quilts here based on the size of the hexie. So let me share just a couple of those with you to give you a little bit of food for thought. And I'm going to leave that with you and let you think about that for a while. So let's talk about a twin size quilt, because a twin size is probably as close to a lap size as we would have. They have wall size here, but I don't really know what size that is, and that could be different sizes for different people. But a twin is kind of a standard size. So if you are looking at a twin size quilt and you need to know how many hexagons you need. So a twin size quilt, if you're using 2-inch hexagons, takes 683. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think about 683 hexagons, that's a lot of hexagons. But if you're using 1-inch hexagons, which is what I usually use, a twin size with 1-inch hexagons takes 2,657 hexagons. Think about that for a minute. 2,657 hexagons to make a twin size quilt. Now, you know how much yardage a twin size would be. It's probably, now I'm sitting here just guessing off the top of my head, you've probably got 2 yards, 3 yards, maybe 4 yards of fabric, roughly. I'm going to guess You might not use all of it, but that's probably what you would buy, because you'd want enough to come off the sides of the bed a bit. So if you're making a twin size quilt with 2-inch hexagons, their free download says you need, get this, hold tight, you may even want to take a seat, 8.5 yards of fabric. 8.5 yards of fabric. That's for a 2-inch hexie. If you're using a 1-inch hexie, which is what I usually use, for a twin size quilt, they're saying you need 13 yards of fabric. 13 for a twin size quilt. If you're making a queen size quilt with 1-inch hexies, you need 15.5 yards. Now, you know me if you've been watching my videos. I am an economical quilter, and I try to save money where I can on my quilting, buying fabrics on sale, reusing scraps, watching sales to make, that sale cycles to know when I can go, when I can't go. Sometimes I buy discounted fabric, maybe at the end of the season, or anything I can do to reduce the cost of fabrics. 13.5 yards of fabric for a queen size 1-inch EPP quilt. It's a lot of money, but think about it. You're sleeping underneath 13 yards of fabric. That's like 2 bolts. So this bolt that I bought just the other day was an 8-yard bolt. I bought most of it. I just can't imagine. And that really, it kind of clicks with me about why these quilts are so heavy, because they're so laden with that seam allowance. When you're thinking about a 1-inch hexie, half of the back side is covered a second time because of the seam allowance. Now, I'm going to break your brain, because we've been talking about 2-inch hexies and we've been talking about 1-inch hexies. But what if you decided to do it with 1/2-inch hexies? A twin size quilt with 1/2-inch hexies will take 10,193 1/2-inch hexies. 10,000. 16 yards of fabric. If you're crazy, oh gosh, I almost hate to do this. But if you decide to do 1/4-inch hexies, which honestly I'm not sure why anybody would want to. I don't know how you would do it. It's so tight. How do you even stitch that? Is it possible? Have you ever done it? I think 1/2-inch is as small as I'd ever want to go, and I'd only do it for a really small section of a project, or a really small, if I was doing like a miniature, maybe I would do 1/2-inch. I don't think I would even entertain the idea of doing a 1/4-inch. But if you did a 1/4-inch hexie on a twin size quilt, 40,485 pieces, 40,000. It's also 28.5 yards of fabric. I don't know how you would sleep under it. It would be too heavy. You couldn't hang it. It would be too heavy. I think that that's shared for shock value. for information purposes, I just don't think it's possible. But I enjoyed this information that Paper Pieces sent out. Now, I got it by email. It is probably out there. I've not looked to check, but they do have some other downloads on fabric requirements and number of hexies and stuff like that, so it's probably there. But I enjoyed this for the entertainment purposes first, and then I am interested also to see exactly how much fabric we're talking about, because I think that you're aware that I've started working on some EPP projects, and I find that I run out of fabric so quickly, and that explains why. It takes so much of this fabric to do these EPP that you're almost, you need to be careful, I guess is what I'm saying, that you don't start something that's going to be such a fabric hog that it just literally eats you out of house and home because of all the fabric you're having to buy. So that is something good to know, so that you understand now why your EPP quilts might cost more, why they're so heavy, and you might want to think of ways to work with that to make it work for you. I thought this was a fun video. I think it's going to be short even after we get it edited all up. But good information to know, and you might want to check out Paper Pieces and see if you can find that download, because I really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to share with your friends and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next week at the Shamrock Quilt Studio. And by the way, Paper Pieces is a great resource for your paper templates for EPP. I've been happy with everything I've bought from them, and they do have a service where you can sign up for their emails and get updates with new patterns, new products, and interesting information. See ya.